Martial here. Welcome to the Sophomore Drome. 2 albums going, only 1 comes out. And this week it's a bit of a punk battle between 2 great British UK based bands, one being The Damned and the other being Stiff Little Fingers. And as usual, the band that releases first goes first, and in this case it's The Damned. They're a punk band formed in London in 1976 by Dave Vanian, Bruce James, Captain Sensible and Rat Scabies. They actually were the first punk band to actually release a single in the UK, New Rose, back in 1976. They had 9 singles that were charted in the UK, which was pretty good. So their second album was released in 1977, and it was released in 18th of November, and it is called Music for Pleasure. Playing on here is Dave Vanian on vocals, Brian James lead guitar and backing vocals, Lou Edmonds on the rhythm guitar, Captain Sensible on bass and slide guitar, and Rat Scabies on the drums. So the first, and we've also got, Lol Coxill on saxophone, and it was produced by Pink Floyd's Nick Mason. So the first track on here is a great track called Problem Child. It's a classic Damned song. It is my favourite track on this album. It's one of my favourite tracks by The Damned. I love the riffs in this. Great vocal from Dave. Solid track. Does what it says on the tin. Up next is Don't Cry Wolf. Another really good song. It's another great vocal from Dave, and Rat's drumming on this is terrific. Up next is One Way Love. Another good track. This is what it says on the tin. It's got another great drumming performance by Rat Scabies. Pretty good. Politics is a very short track. It's another raw plug in and go stuff. Pretty good. Stretch Case. It's okay. It's got some decent drumming on it, of course. Then we have this 5-minute track called Idiot Box. It needed to be shorter. I think it sort of loses a little bit of rise somewhere. There's not many 5-minute punk songs of this sort of stature. It sort of worked, and it did repeat itself a little bit. So that was the end of side 1. Side 2 starts with You Take My Money. Great vocal from David. I do like that. Alone, it's okay. It's nothing special, but it's got a lot of energy. Your Eyes is next. It's a little bit lacklustre, I think, personally. It hasn't got the meatiness. It's a little bit thin on the ground. Creep, You Can't Fool Me. Some great drumming from Rat Scabies again. Solid stuff. You Know, another of my favourite tracks on here. I like the lyrics. I like the little bit of saxophone on it. It does add to it. It's pretty cool. And that was the last track. Okay, personally, I don't think this album is as good as the debut album. It just lacks... It lacks a lot of beef. It's in places, it's very tinny. And I don't think it's got the same passion as they had when they did the Damned. But that's just my opinion. So let's see what the critics think. So at the time of its release, Music for Pleasure was dismissed by critics as a poor misstep. In a contemporary review of Sounds, Peter Silverstone compared the album to the second albums by the Jam Stranglers, where the formula was not the repeat of the first album, which is actually true. They had a few minor modifications, more considered production to be almost in reality the less freshness and the impact. He also noted that mostly that they have really extended on the four-piece wall sound style of their first album. And it's not just they added a sax player on one track. The second rhythmic guitarist of Lou Silverton Lou Silverstone said that it should have been written off by many, and it should have never really. It was just a very weak song. Though he said that the "Don't Cry for Wolf" is a pretty outstanding track. Trouser Press opinion with the added guitarist Lou Edmond. There was no audible stylistic plan. So what did they give it mark wise? All Music gave it a 3.5. Record Mirror gave it a 4. Rolling Stone Album Guide gave it 2 stars, and Sounds gave it a 4 out of 5. It didn't chart. Didn't even make the album charts. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality. I don't think they're as powerful as the debut album. There are 1 or 2 good songs on here. It just didn't have the same zing as that debut album, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Production. I just find it was a little bit tinny in places. It hadn't got the same guts as the debut. There's just something missing. I don't know what it is, but it's just something that's missing. So I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. Reception. Unfortunately, it went down like a lead balloon, this album. It wasn't very popular with the fans. It wasn't popular with the critics. Although Sounds liked it, and Record Mirror. So I'm going to give that a 2 out of 5. Cover design. It's very colourful, isn't it? But it doesn't come across as a punk album. It's too nice. I mean, that debut album had them covered in, looked like they'd been on Tiswas. It looks like one of them colourblind tests. Not the best cover, so I'm going to give that a 2 out of 5. So for The Damned, Music for Pleasure gives us a total of 10 out of 20. Okay then, let's move on to our next contender, Stiff Little Fingers. Now, Stiff Little Fingers were formed in 1977, and they're from Belfast in Northern Ireland. They were formed at the height of the Troubles, which sort of reflects in their music. They started out as a bull schoolboy band called Highway Star, named after the Deep Purple song, and they were the first punk band in Belfast to release a record, The Suspect is Device. So their second album came out in 1980, and it's called Nobody's Heroes. On here, of course, is Jake Burns on vocals and guitars, Jim Riley on drums, Henry Clooney on the guitars, and Ali McCordy on the bass guitar. So the first track on here is a great track called Gotta Get Away. Absolute corker. I love Jim's drumming on this. It's got lots of energy. Great vocal from Jake. It's just pretty decent. Up next is Wait and See. I love Ali's bass line on this. Absolutely brilliant. The guitar work is great as well. You got both Jake and Henry really driving the riffs. It's a fine vocal from Jake. Fly the Flag. It's one of those songs that they throw everything at this. Great guitar work. The bass is great. Jim's drums are right. He's on fire. Just a really strong track. And then we get At the Edge. Now this is one of my favourite punk songs. I love that bass line from Ali, and the song's absolutely brilliant. It's a great vocal from Jake Burns. Then we have the title track, Nobody's Heroes, another high energy track. The classic riffs, the great vocals of Jake, great drumming as well. Bloody Dub. This song belongs to Ali and Jim. The bass line is absolutely amazing. It's a little bit different. And then you've got this great drum beat as well. Then they do a cover of a special song. Doesn't Make It All Right. It's a great cover. I love the specials version, but this is a really decent version of it, and it's catchy. Just shows they did do other things. I Don't Like You, another fantastic song. Jake's vocals are pretty strong on that as well. No Change, another brilliant bass line from Ali, with Henry and Jake just putting in them lovely little riffs. Absolutely track. Tin Soldiers. Now this starts off with another great bass line, and then all of a sudden the rest of the guys come in. It's a fine vocal by Jake, and it's a great track to end the album. Stiff Little Fingers followed up their debut album, Inflammable Material, with another corking album. Same, more of the same. It's just a fantastic punk album. I really do like this one. So what did the critics say? Well, there's not been much written about this album, believe it or not. But the reviews, All Music gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Billboard unrated it, and Record Mirror gave it a 3. And Smash Hits gave it an 8 out of 10. And this managed to get to number 8 in the UK album charts. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality, as I said, they followed up Inflammable Material with another great album, some great songs on here. It's obviously got my favourite song, At the Edge. Tin Soldiers is a great song. Their version of Doesn't Make It All Right is good. Fly the Flag, they're just absolutely great songs, and I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 4 out of 5. Production, great production, really meaty, really heavy as well, and I do like this, and I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Reception, it charted, which was a good thing, but there's not much written about it. But the reviews that were there said that they rated it highly, except one. So I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. Cover design, I wouldn't say it was the best cover. It looks like a really big barcode, and it's very hard to read. It's very dull. So I'm going to give that a 2 out of 5. So for Nobody's Heroes, I give this a total of 13 out of 20. The figures say that it is a win for Stiff Little Fingers today. Okay, I do like the Damned album, but in this instance, I just think Nobody's Heroes has got a better sound. I found the Music for Pleasure a little tinny in places. Some of the songs were lacklustre, but when it comes to this album by the Stiff Little Fingers, it just has a little bit more gumph in it. It's really heavy. And so today's winner is Stiff Little Fingers and Nobody's Heroes. Okay, how do you vote for this if it's your first time watching? Well, at 2 p.m. today, if you go to the community page on the channel, you will find a poll. And you just vote there, and then there'll be a poll running in the live stream tonight. Okay, coming up next, it's Pick and Mix, and this week it's In the Camera's View, and we're going to look at the stunning performance of Pink Floyd at Pompeii. So join me for that later. Bye for now.